Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome to another video on Svelte Kit, and in this video we are going to talk a demo example of data fetching, Svelte store, and couple of Svelte JS concept, because Svelte Kit uses Svelte JS and we use all the features of Svelte JS, like watching a particular property, passing the data, fetching the data using on mount lifecycle hook, or fetching the data from the server side load function. Okay, so what we will do is we'll create a simple demo of, let's say, the Pokemon app, where we are going to fetch all the Pokemons, and then you can get the detail of a particular Pokemon. It's like just a small demo to show things, how all those things are connected. So we are going to create a page.svelte and layout.svelte. Page.svelte, layout.svelte, and we can create a routes. Let's say I have created a about route and then Pokemon. Okay, there are two routes. So this Pokemon route can be used when you wanted to see the information about a particular Pokemon. In this page.svelte, we are going to make an API call using on mount lifecycle hook and fetch the Pokemons. Okay, so let's set up the things, and we are also going to use some store. So we are going to use the pokestore.js.ts, and we will talk about it, how the pokestore is doing things. We can move the pokestore.ts outside in the source, and we can also have a components. Like there are some components which you are going to use in the routes, let's say the new bar, header, footer, these kind of components you can move outside, because these are not particular routes. These are just components which you are using. New.svelte, or we are going to have a Pokemon card, because when you see a Pokemon list, you click on individual Pokemon name, there is a Pokemon card component you need. Pokemon card.svelte. So skeleton is kind of ready. What we will do is, in the routes, this is the default route and default page will be shown to the user. Script, inside the script we'll import the on mount. So here we can just use on mount lifecycle hook, and then we can import the Pokemon card component also, because we fetch the list of array of Pokemons, and then we will just run each loop, and then we will import the Pokemon card component inside a loop. Pokemon card component from components, Pokemon card component. Okay, we have a small search menu also, search bar, which will do nothing but you can type something, a Pokemon name, and you can filter out. Okay, so let's say we have a search term, and here we have a on mount lifecycle hook. What it is doing is, it is async lifecycle hook, and it is making an API call. And what we are going to do, we are going to have a small store in our application, Svelte store I'm talking about. So what that Svelte store will do is, that Svelte store will be able to store the data. And I mean, this is same as the store we have in the Redux store or something in Svelte. This is little different way. We create a writable, readable, and these kind of store from Svelte store. This is known as a writable. Okay, and we create a store, simple export const Pokemon is equal to writable, and it's initialized with empty array, and you'll keep adding the data using dot set. Okay, this is export const Pokemon, and we can have a one flag loaded true or false because this is the Pokemon store. Inside this we will have a separate functions export const, let's say fetch Pokemon. It's a sync function. I mean, either you write this in the load function and on or inside a on mount lifecycle hook, or you just move these things here if it's already loaded. I mean, we can have some kind of a check. If the data is already loaded, then don't load the data. Const URL, we are going to get this from some URL which I will define const. Otherwise it will be a simple fetch call, await fetch to the URL, const data equal to await response.json, serialize the response. Okay, and we need to check the Pokemon API, like how the Pokemon data get fetched. So loaded Pokemon, because we need to fetch the required things. We need the name, image, and some kind of index. And inside this data, I will talk about the API which we are going to use. I think that API has, we need to gather the data from here and there. Let's say this is the API, and you can see there is a count, so we need to get the data from the results, data.results name, and the image also will get somewhere. Okay, there is a image name also available. I mean, for the image name we know how to build the image, so I will just put that. I'll put that stuff here, loaded Pokemon. Simply you just put the index.png, this will give you the image name, and the URL of the API is this. We'll just place it, and because loaded is actually we need to store this loaded property inside the Pokemon store, Pokemon.loaded Pokemon. What we are doing is whatever the data we got, we are actually setting that inside a Pokemon store, and we are just saying loaded true. That's just a local variable to just track if the data is loaded or not, and return loaded Pokemon. Actually we put the things inside a store also, and then we also returning the results. Here we can have another call where you wanted to fetch individual Pokemon by ID, get Pokemon by ID, and here you will pass the ID. This is again a sync function. If now you already know the Pokemon detail, I think another variable we need to have, which is Pokemon detail. If that is already fetched, then we can actually return it. So here if Pokemon detail already has the ID data, then we don't need to fetch it, we will just return it. So it's like some kind of a small level caching, Pokemon detail of ID. If we don't have it, then obviously we'll just make the try catch, something like this, try catch error, and inside this we can make the same set of API call. I will just put it, I have a snippet of code, and inside catch block we can just return null because we didn't receive anything, or you can throw it. So just passing the ID to it, getting the JSON, and setting this Pokemon detail with the data. I mean, we don't need a particular store for it, because what I'm going to do is this, I'm going to fetch from the client side, and this data I'm going to fetch from the server side function. What you can do is same as the Pokemon detail. Pokemon is already having all the data. You can also create a writable store of Pokemon detail, but that's not needed. I'm talking about two different data fetching mechanism. Here we fetch the data from the client side and set the data in the store, and here get Pokemon by ID. Here you just pass the ID and return the data right away to the component. Okay, so for that we are going inside our component again, page.svelte, and here on mount filtered Pokemon, because here we have an input text field. Let's first write our svelte component, svelte head, and inside this we can specify title. I mean, we don't have any SEO component or any header component created, so we'll put that here in the svelte head, and then we will start writing our components. H1 Sveltekit example demo app. Okay, and then input type text. This is same as, and we'll just bind it. Now this is all how we do the Svelte JS bind value, and I think I can bind it with a search term, so whatever you are typing, that will be populated in the search term, and this is a placeholder, so you don't need to write a on change event and populate it like that, like we do in the React. So when you type it here, we can now look for whatever you are typing in the search field. I can check it. So if inside this, if you keep typing something, right, so we need to capture that. And here we also have a filtered Pokemon. Which will be initially empty. So based on the search term, what we will do is a filtered Pokemon equal to how we will access the store. Now, because we already have available store available, inside that we have a data, so we'll fetch it from the Pokemon store. So this is a $Pokemon will give me all the Pokemons dot filter, and I'm iterating each and every Pokemon. I'm just saying that I.name dot to lowercase, if that includes search term dot to lowercase. If that is true, that means it will give me the filtered Pokemons. Otherwise, if search term is not there, what we will do is a filtered Pokemon equal to the copy of the Pokemons I have right now in the store. Okay, I got the Pokemons. What I can do is I can just run each loop, each expression, and I already have a Pokemon card component. Pokemon card component, and I'm just passing the Pokemon object from this loop. It's a Pokemon, Pokemon, whatever. So inside a card component, we'll build the card component, which is nothing but displaying the information, right? So here we have a Pokemon card component. I already have, I mean, we got the data. So how you access the data passed from the parent to child in the Svelte JS. You just do export, let the variables should be the same. I may be doing some typo. Okay, main. Okay, then this is a script. This is what you need to write to get the data in this component. Now inside your template, how you will access it, you will just write your template and you will access the properties Pokemon.id, Pokemon.name, and the image. And you are doing a little bit transition here, so we are using transition false and all property. So just import the transition, and we have a simple new component. I will just put that. We might not be using it. There are home and about component. So inside page, inside layout, we can just put these things. Okay, this is the layout I'm using. So inside layout, I have a script because this is the root layout. I will import a new from components new Svelte. Okay, and I can also import, because inside this you can import the styles and everything whatever you need. I don't have a styles. Okay, and then you can put your stuff like inside div, whatever the class I will use, and inside this I will put, okay, on top I have a new bar, then I have a slot, there I will put my children's, and inside the style. So this is all about HTML. Inside style I will be importing my Tailwind utilities, because we are using Tailwind utilities here. So the classes I'm using is a padding 8, maximum width 6XL, MX auto, margin auto, left and right. This is the layout, and this is my component. So this component will use this root layout. We will show header, and then inside this component we will show search bar, input type text field, search term. Based on the search term, I think we should put this somewhere in the top. Based on the search term change, we are getting things from the Pokemon store, filtered Pokemon we are rendering, and we are displaying the Pokemon card component. Okay, and then in the Pokemon card we have put an URL that when you click onto this it will go to this particular route. So for that we have the Pokemon route already created inside this, because it's a dynamic ID, right? So we'll put new folder ID, and inside the ID we'll create our files plus page.svelte and plus page.server.ts. Here we will use the load function. Inside the server.ts we will use load function, export const load, which is async function, and we will fetch the data of this particular Pokemon based on the ID. And you can also access the fetch, and here const fetch data, let's say async ID, and what I'm returning, which I can access in the component, because this load function will be exported to the component. Pokemon await fetch data, and here I can pass the params.id. It's params, I guess, params.id. Okay, and here I can just do the same, because I already have the get Pokemon by ID method inside a store. I will just import it, and in the component I can access data.pokemon now, right? So inside the page.svelte component, this is my component where I'm showing the data Pokemon I'm getting from the store. Export let data. This data we are getting from the component. From the server side load function it will give us the data. Data.pokemon is the Pokemon detail. Okay, so I don't think we need a store here, because we are fetching the data from that, and I don't want to write a simple HTML templates here. So this is where you are putting the name. All these things are coming from get by ID function. All the abilities and data.pokemon.sprites, these are like the JSON formats where the Pokemon abilities, Pokemon name, image are placed inside. But what we did, the concept is important. We created a load function, we are feeding this data, and we are getting this data inside this component Pokemon ID page.svelte, export let data. Data.pokemon will give us the data whatever we need, and then now we can run the application. It will give us the layout. I mean, we are using Tailwind, so I didn't write all these classes, but it's all about how we use the Tailwind classes. I didn't do the demo of that part. I copied most of the HTML templates because the concept is important. You can use it without using the styles of Tailwind. So this is the root layout and root page. Here we are rendering all the Pokemons. In the Pokemon card, when you have the data, you are providing this href. So here you are not using router link or some kind of a funky stuff. Here you are just putting href. That will become the route Pokemon and the ID. So when you click on it, it will look for this Pokemon ID in the page.svelte. It will execute the page server side load function. From the params you will get the ID, you make the call, you get the data, and data will be passed to the component, and then it will just display the data. So if we just run this app, cd apps npm run dev, so initially it should display all the Pokemons. So what is happening here is page.svelte on mount await fetch Pokemon. Fetch Pokemon, where is this defined? We didn't import it, it should return as an error. Let's see what error we are getting and we'll debug it from there. Reference error is not defined. Got it. Fade is not defined in the Pokemon card. Where do we have a transition fade? Let's just comment this out for now. Okay, I did the mistake here. It should be inside the script. Okay, we see something. I mean, it's not looking that good. When you click on it, it should take you to this particular route, which will give you this data. Okay, it's not looking that nice because I didn't use a lot of styling parts here. But here you can see, is it working? Okay, search looks like is broken. Let's see. Okay, then we need to fix the search first. Let's see what is in the page.svelte. I'm able to fetch the data, and we have a little search bar, and when you click on it, when you type on this, then we are binding it to the search term. So if search term is there, what we are doing, filtered Pokemon is $Pokemon.filter. We got individual Pokemon. If that includes this, that means it will be a part of filtered Pokemon. So if the search term is changing, it should trigger this. Is it really happening? Search term, and we put a watcher on the search term. So here we are doing a filtered Pokemon. Let's see if this is getting executed. Console.log filtered Pokemon. This should return true. Okay, let's see this. Okay, that's strange. It is giving me the empty array because there is no filter matches found. Pokemon.name.toLowercase .toLowercase.includes search term.toLowercase. Okay, I made the mistake here. Now save it. Okay, now it is coming. I mean, actually I was not calling the toLowercase function. That was the mistake. Now you can see I can search, filter and all. Let's say, right, search is working. When you click on it, it should go to that particular page, show you the image and the list of information. Just a simple example of how how we are writing the components, how we are fetching the data, and how we are putting things inside a store also. Because in this example, after fetching the data, we put the data inside a store. Like on mount is calling, we got the data. Like fetch Pokemon is defined here in the store, which is putting things inside a store, and the store data only we are accessing in the component, not the return data from the on mount. Okay, a small demo, that's it. In the next video we will create some kind of a layout where we can talk about these individual examples, like the page actions, form actions, dynamic routing, advanced routing. These are the topics which I need to cover.